You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Friday, 17th day of June, 2022. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts each and every day, every trading day. The first live broadcast begins at 9:30 a.m. Eastern when Wall Street opens and runs for 2 hours until 11:30 a.m. Eastern. That live broadcast is reserved for members only and those who are taking their 1-week free trial. Later in the show, Michael will show you how you can take your 1-week free trial. After the live training room, we take a 30-minute break. Then we come back at 12 noon Eastern for the afternoon broadcast. Now, the difference between the morning broadcast and the afternoon broadcast is the live training room in the morning is an interactive learning experience, putting on, taking off trades live in real time, while Michael or Valerie explains every move they make, every trade they take, and the rule behind it. The afternoon broadcast is a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room, and also a recap of what's happened with all of the alerts since we last spoke. Both the Logic 247 alerts and the Concierge Trade alerts. Now, the afternoon broadcast, which goes live at 12 noon Eastern, there's 2 ways to join the show. One better than the other. The best way is to go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered in about 30 seconds, and that will give you 1-click access to the show each and every day. The way that works is once you do the 30-second registration going forward, every trading day, right before the show starts, you'll get an email, and in the email there's a link. All you have to do is click the link when you're ready to join the show, and the software automatically logs you in to our go-to platform. Now, why is that the better way? Because that way gives you access to the question box so that you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. The other way to join the show, maybe you're out of the office, away from your desktop, on vacation, just grab any internet connected device and point it to youtube.com/CFRN. Easy to remember, youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast the afternoon show live every day on our YouTube channel, we also archive each and every daily show. Currently, we have over 2,000 daily live broadcasts archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. So let's open with a word of prayer. Our scripture is Psalm 34:8. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who trusts in him. There's something kind of special about attending a party or an event where just appetizers are served. Each one is uniquely displayed. It's a visual treat that promises a special culinary experience. Guests carefully choose the ones that catch their eye, that promise to satisfy. Those who choose to pass by and not taste the treats will never know how good they were or know what they're missing. Again, our Bible verse says in Psalm 34:8, "Taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in him." So our verse tells us to taste. The word taste in Hebrew is ta'am, which means to perceive. It's an action word, like a verb. How silly it would be to put appetizers on our plate and never taste them. When we eat our food, we hold it, sample it, chew it, and swallow it, allowing all the flavors to cross over every taste bud, telling our brains exactly what it is that we are tasting. What if we were to approach our time in the Bible this way, with pleasure and enjoyment? Our verse today also tells us to see. The word see in Hebrew is ra'ah. This word tells us to intently look at, to study. It is not just being an observer, it is actually actively choosing and learning. Just as no one puts appetizers on their plate to simply look at, our Bible should be studied as something we desperately need. This verse, "Taste and see that the Lord is good," is an opportunity to know the truth for ourselves. Unless you pick up that appetizer off your plate and taste it, you will never know if it is good. This verse is an invitation to experience Him, to savor Him, to choose Him as we learn to taste and see that the Lord is good. We must know it for ourselves. The entire Psalm 34 tells of God's goodness to those who take refuge in Him. It says He cares for our every need. He provides us with a good and long life. He is with us in our troubles, and He saves us from our enemies. He is provider, protector, sustainer, healer. He is our peace, our hope, our salvation. The Lord can be trusted with your heartaches and every one of your struggles. He desires that we experience Him fully, and that requires action on our part. The second half of our verse says, "Blessed is the one who trusts in Him." The word trust in Hebrew means to flee for protection, to confide in. To trust in the Lord means to run to God for protection and to confide in Him. Now, this is something that I've tried to teach my children. Whenever they find themselves in trouble, I don't want the first thought to pop into their head to be, "Oh my gosh, Dad's gonna kill me." The first thought I want to pop into their head is, "I'm in trouble, I better call Dad right away." See the difference? To trust means we must place our hearts in every situation into God's capable plans. He alone is our answer and our protection. Let's taste and see that the Lord is good. Let's trust in Him and seek Him for help in all our troubles. Our verse gives us a promise that we actively look to Him, we can trust Him. That promise is found in the word blessed. Strong's Concordance says that the word blessed means happy. So this Bible verse actually says, "Taste and see that the Lord is good. Happy is the one who trusts in Him." This verse tells us that we can trust God for our happiness. When we intentionally taste and savor the Lord's Word, we will see His goodness in every area of our lives. It will revive our souls, strengthen our faith, and allow us to face our most difficult situations. All those hard things, the trials that drain you, the pain that is wearing you down, we can take heart because the Lord is good. He asks you to come, to taste His Word, to see that He is good. He helped us in the past because He is good. He is working in your life today, even if you cannot see it, because He is good. Allow His joy to fill your beautiful soul. Let the happy He fills you with be the reason that others turn to Him. Pray with me. Heavenly Father, thank You for being good. Thank You for the promise that I can be happy as I trust You. Open my eyes, Lord, as I read Your Word and think about Your goodness in my own circumstances. Help me to taste Your truth and see how You are working in my life. May my life and the joy You fill me with encourage those around me to taste and see that You are good. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
And everybody said amen. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, guys, I'm going to give you the numbers from around the world here real quick. We'll go to Michael for a recap of the live training room this morning. There we go. Looks like my page is going to load. Here it comes. All right. We'll start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. The Dow is currently down 113 points. The NASDAQ is up 97. S&P 500 is down 4.5. And the Russell 2000, our man in the street, is up 15, which is almost 1%. In the commodity basket, crude oil down $6.71, trading 110.88 last. That's a drop of $5.70. How long will it take that to translate to the gas pump? I wouldn't hold my breath. Gold is down $6.20, trading 18.4370 last. And silver is down 26 cents, trading 21.62 last, a drop of 1.25%. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei posted a loss of 468 points, 1.75%. The Shanghai gained 31 points, which for the Shanghai is almost 1%. The Hang Seng gained 229 points, which is a little over 1%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 28, the DAX up 87, the CAC down 3.5. So some pretty quiet sideways trade overall. Now that gives us a mixed day in Asia, a mixed day in the UK, and of the four major indices, we only have one in the red, the Dow, so that still makes it a mixed Radio Friday here in the US of A. So with that, we'll go to Michael and get a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room. After that, I'll come back, look at the logic alerts, the concierge trade alerts, and if at any point during the broadcast you have a question, simply type it into the question box and we'll be happy to answer it for you. Michael, it's all yours.
All right, here we go. Let me just take a look and see who all is in here right now. Okay. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Friday, the 17th day of June 2022. Just a reminder, we are not going to be here on Monday. Okay, Monday is Juneteenth. We're not going to be here on Monday. That means the weekly trading zones won't go out on Monday. They'll go out on Tuesday. Just a reminder to everyone. All right. The invitation to the meeting, all that stuff is going to go out on Tuesday, not on Monday. Sunday night will be the same, but Monday will not. All right. If you've not taken a free trial with us and you want to take a free trial, go here to eminitrainingschool.com. Scroll down to right here where all we ask for is your first name, your email, and your phone number. You can tell us the biggest trading challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. Hit the send button, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click that link, we don't know that you took the free trial, so make sure you click on that link. All right. All right. Results. Today, I did a lot of training again today, so that's why we only had 19 trades. I had a long moment in time today. But I went over a lot of stuff, and I'll show you guys stuff. And those of you guys who are using TradingView, I have something that I did during the break here that I think you'll find interesting. Again, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 17th day of June, 2022. Made 56 ticks in crude, 2 ticks in gold, and 62 ticks on the ES. Put us at plus 1355 in the morning session. Today it took 1 minute and 1 trade to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $200 a contract, and we took a total of 19 trades this morning. So on the month now, we're at $14,432. That's over 13 trading days, averaging $1,110 per contract per 2-hour trading day. We have now gone 177 days since our last negative day, and we've gotten our goal for the day on 116 out of 116 days so far this year. So now, on the year, we're at $126,531. That is 1 contract, 2 hours per day. All right, we're averaging $1,090 per contract per 2-hour trading day. If you were to quit trading when you get your goal for the day, and this is where we want everybody to be, if you were to quit trading when you get your goal for the day, and you were to add 1 contract per month, right, your goal being $100 per contract, and you do everything like I do, you would only had to work so far 17.05 hours this year, and you would have averaged $3,193 per hour for those 17 hours. Okay, that's where you want to be. You just want to be consistent, basically, is what that's saying. Okay, so let's start out with the gold. Now, I had not very many trades at all in gold today. It really didn't give up that many. This was our moment in time, but this was my 1 trade in gold right here. I picked up 2 ticks. There was a trade here that I missed. It went up to the target number I had. It didn't make it up to the second one. Then you see I was putting out target numbers as I was seeing them, and it was getting pretty close to them. This one here, getting to them. But it just was not giving us the trade setups to do it. During our moment in time, we were right in here, and I was thinking that gold was going to go down. I drew in this level down here for it to get down to it, went right through that level. But I really didn't have any more insight in it because gold wasn't giving us much at all. Okay, so that was it for gold. That was it for trades. That was it for the morning. During the break, there were no highest probability trade setups, none. Gold's just been a dog today. It is what it is. Crude oil, we did have some good trades on crude. And let's see, on crude, right in here was a first opportunity. I missed that one. Hang on, I want to just check something, see where the heck that child is. Person, hang on, this is important. Child control. The first trade that I took on crude was right in here. We picked up 6 ticks on that very first one. Okay, picked up 6 ticks on the first one. And then, well, we didn't do any others for about 15 minutes. And we had a break even here. It was giving out numbers. Crude was giving some pretty good numbers. It was showing things. It just wasn't going to them. We ended up with a break even there, it looks like. So we had 6 ticks on the first one. And then finally over here, we had 11 ticks there to get us to 17. Then we had, is that right? Yeah, 11 ticks to get us to 17, and then 12 ticks to get us to 29. And this was our moment in time. I really didn't have any clue what crude was going to do either. I just thought it was going to go down from where it was. But at that point, we were on this bar right here. And we were trading below the BBC with bullish separation. So what it looked like it was doing was a cycle reset. It just took forever to reset that cycle, though. There were just garbage in here for a while. and it didn't give any more trades until all the way over here. This is about when we stopped or finished talking about it. It started giving trades again right in here. And it had a nice move right here. I missed all of that, but there was some trades right in there. There was a short here, a short here, a short here, and that moved down. Highest probability long right there on retracement. Short here, a short here, and a short here. And I missed all of that stuff. I didn't trade crude again until all the way over here. I stopped out on this one. So at this point on crude, we're at 29, and then I stopped out. That put me back down to 21. Then I picked up 10 ticks to put me at 31. Then I had a huge trade right here. I picked up 30 ticks to get me to 61. Then 3 ticks to get me to 64. And then I stopped out right there to get me to 56. And that's where we ended on crude, with 56 ticks. Okay, now during the break, just the highest probability trades. This is arguable. Do we have step 3 right there? Not really. This one right here, though, highest probability trade. This one right here, nope, the slingshot wasn't set up. This one, slingshot again, wasn't set up. This one was good. That one's nothing. That one's nothing. Highest probability right there. That was a good one. There were trades through here, but not highest probability trades. Okay, highest probability short right there. There's just not any highest probability longs showing up. A bunch of shorts, but not a bunch of longs. Let me look at the question box and see if we get in there yet. Doesn't look like it. Okay, so that was crude. Now we'll do the ES. Okay, and when I do the ES, I want to show you guys something else. Some of you guys know this, some of you guys don't, but I will show it to you anyway. And let's see, here we go. In here. Now our first trade on the ES was right here. Picked up 16 ticks on our very first trade. That is where we got the goal. Took 1 minute, 1 trade, 16 ticks. Then it got kind of choppy, and my next few trades on the ES were all 1 tick trades. There's 1, 2, 3, 1 tick trades right in a row. So we went from plus 16 to plus 19. And then we had a decent trade right here. I think we picked up 10 ticks on the first one to get to 29, and then 8 ticks on the second one to get to 37. Okay, and then we didn't do anything for a little while. We started to get into a bunch of chop here. We didn't do anything. Then we had the moment in time. Now in the moment in time, this time we had something that we could work with. The other 2 markets during the moment in time, we didn't have anything to work with. But this is what it looks like at our moment in time, right? It was that candle right there. So if I move this over, if I slide this over here, and then I bring this back up. Oops, hang on, this back up to right there. That's where it was. So down here on the bottom, this is what it looks like. Okay, and this I said was setting up a short trade. Between this right here on the chart, this down here in the slingshot, and what was in the DOM, I was able to draw these arrows. Now the arrows that you see here, I drew when there was nothing on this side. There was nothing here on this side. That was based on what I could see in the DOM and what the charts were giving us in that moment in time. So then when it took off, it did pull back up. I thought it was going to pull back up to here, and if it did, the entry point should have been here. It ended up pulling back up to here, and then the entry point was a little lower. But I had drawn in the target at the same time. This is back over here. I drew in this target. That was based on information that I had in the DOM. If you guys don't understand what I'm doing with that, then you need to set up a meeting with me so we can go over it. I mean, I went over it a lot in the meeting last night, in the partners meeting last night. If you're a partner, you can go check that meeting out. It is published in the weekly workshop meeting channel. Okay, so that was the moment in time today. So I pretty much nailed it on that one. Then we didn't do anything for a little while. While I was talking, there was a bunch of stuff happening in here, but we didn't trade again until all the way over here. Now, at that point we were on the ES, right? And I believe we had gone from 29 to 37, then 37 to 45. So that wasn't a huge trade. And then we had this big trade right here. We went from 45 to 61 right here. And then from we had another big trade here that I don't seem to have in. Maybe that was the one. This might have been an 8-tick trade or something like that. We went from 37 to 45, and this might have been the big one. We went from 45 to 61. But my next trade shows just 1 tick. We went from 61 to 62. That'd be right here. All right, and then we get into the break. Now during the break, I'll just show you the highest probability trades. It was one right here. One right here. One right here. No, that was a down close, not up close. Sorry, that wasn't one. One right there. One right here. And that was it. Okay, so we ended up with out of all those, there was one of them that looked like it wouldn't have worked out. Okay, now I wanted to show you guys a couple of things. Those of you guys who are partners who have been watching stuff, the 7-tick range bounces off the BBC, right color bar, right color BBC. There was one here during the break. There was a long right here during the break. There was a short right here during the break. Second highest probability trade right there. Again, right over here, here, here during the break. More highest probability trades. One here. Let's see, here. Second highest probability there. This was the highest probability right there. Highest probability right there. Second highest right there and there. That was all during the break. Okay. Now the other thing that I wanted to show you guys, if you are on TradingView, I did this during the break. TradingView now has the BBC color. Okay. In TradingView right now, I'm still working on it creatively. I got a request in to the creative minds within CFRN and a new name for this. I just called it BBC One, and you can choose the colors there. If you want to show it, you can. If you don't want to show it, you just want to show the regular green, you can do that. You can choose whichever one you want. Okay, right? I'm just calling it BBC One, but I can change that at any time. But you have the up and down colors here. And this is a 7-tick range in TradingView. Okay. Right here, 7 range in TradingView. So you get all the same stuff. You're looking for a blue bounce off a blue BBC. Okay. All the same things. All right. Just wanted to point that out to anybody who's in here who has TradingView, who's been following along with all these developments that we're having. All right, so let's get back over here to this. If you are going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 17th day of June, 2022. We made 56 ticks in crude, 2 ticks in golds, and 62 ticks on the ES. Put us up 13.55 in the morning session. Today it took 1 minute and 1 trade to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $200 a contract. And we took a total of 19 trades. So on the month, we're at $14,432. That's over 13 trading days, averaging $1,110 per contract. We've now gone 177 days since our last negative day, and we've gotten our goal on 116 out of 116 possible days so far this year. That puts us at $126,531 on the year. That's 1 contract, 2 hours per day. We're averaging $1,090 per contract. If you were to quit trading when you get your goal for the day, and your goal is $100 a contract, and you were to add 1 contract a month, you would have only had to work 17 hours so far this year. and you would have averaged $3,193 during each one of those 17 hours. Okay. All right. That is it, guys. With that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
Yes, sir. I am ready.
Okay. And there it is. I can see it.
Okay, recap of the recap.
Today, it took 1 minute and 1 trade to get to $200 per contract.
Outstanding.
Thank you.
And great work on the TradingView stuff as well.
Thank you. I could publish it right now, and then I'll be ready for the 1 o'clock meeting.
Okay. Alrighty. Alright, guys, let's start here, where we normally do, with a recap of Logic 247. Logic 247 is our around-the-clock, 24/7 E-mini alert service. It not only includes the E-minis, but crude, gold, silver, the euro, and bonds. Now, the global markets open at 6 p.m. Sunday night and remain open around the clock until Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern. Unlike Wall Street, which opens every day at 9:30 and closes at 4 in the afternoon, the Globex, the global futures markets, trade around the clock from Sunday night to Friday afternoon. We're currently in week 202 of Logic 247. Since we launched Logic 247 202 weeks ago, we have issued over 10,900 individual alerts. That's with an entry, initial target, in most cases a second target, often a third and a fourth target, and then a final trade to target. Both with the logic alerts and the concierge alerts, final trade to target on every long trade is the weekly zone above, and on every short trade it's the weekly zone below. So far this week, since the markets open Sunday night, we've issued 70 alerts, 7 never triggered, still waiting on 2, and we have 6 open Sunday night gaps that have not filled. And I think this could be an historic first. There have been weeks when the Sunday night gap, and typically with futures, because they trade around the clock, the only time you see gaps are on Sunday night when the market's been closed for a day and a half. And occasionally during earnings season, you'll see a gap. But with the indices, the gaps almost always close within a couple of hours, and certainly within the first day or session. However, the gap lower open we had Sunday night dropped and just kept dropping, and we've gone a whole week without those gaps filling, and that, I think, is a historic first. So out of the 70 alerts, we had 55 actionable alerts, of which 6 or 11% would have been stopped out based on not risking more than $300 per contract, per trade, less when possible, using market structure and a very simple 3-step process that we teach all of our passport holders. Now, the logic alerts are based on current price action. Our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts, they are based on historic price action. And As opposed to coming out around the clock, they're published shortly after the markets open each evening. So last night it was 6:35 p.m. You'll notice that there's two prices for each market. Chances are you don't trade every one of these markets. However, the markets that you do trade, what you should do when this report is published, because the numbers are good for the entire session, you should go to the chart, the 30-minute chart of the markets you trade, draw a line in the sand at 37.47, draw a line in the sand at 36.38. This is based on the ES for last night. And make note of where price is at this moment in time. Because from that moment forward, if price starts trending up towards 37.47, that's bullish. And so our strategy is going to look for opportunities to be long the market. If price starts trending down towards 36.38, that's bearish. And so our strategy will look for opportunities to be short the market. In either case, that's where you use Logic 247, and everything you learn every single day in the live training room to yourself, find opportunities to be long or short the market. If you want to take a snapshot, a screenshot, a snip, go ahead and we'll walk through each one of these individual markets. And we'll talk about what's happened in each of the markets since we last spoke yesterday. A couple of headlines I'll share with you before we go to the charts. Greg Jacob, a legal advisor to former Vice President Mike Pence and conservative retired federal judge Michael Luddig, appeared yesterday before the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th Capitol attack. Jacob testified that aides to then President Donald Trump told him repeatedly it would not be legal for Pence to overturn President Biden's victory in the 2020 presidential election, but Trump and his allies pushed for him to do it anyway. Luddig, who advised Pence about his January 6 duties, said if the vice president had done what Trump asked, he would have sparked a revolution within a constitutional crisis. I guess that's like a riddle wrapped in an enigma. I don't know. Anyway, committee chair Benny Thompson said the panel would invite Ginny Thomas, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas's wife, to testify about her efforts to overturn the election. The leaders of France, Germany, and Italy met with Ukrainian President Zelensky in Kyiv yesterday and told him they, along with Romania, would support Ukraine's candidacy to join the European Union. Now, Vladimir Putin has already drawn a line in the sand that says if you even consider adding Ukraine to NATO, it's a call for war. Well, there it is. I guess the ball's back in Vladimir's court. The visit by French President Emmanuel Macron, the German Chancellor, the Italian Prime Minister, Mario Draghi, came after three leading EU nations faced criticism for not backing Ukraine firmly enough as it fiercely resists Russian forces who invaded in February. Man, it's the middle of June. This invasion happened in February. Man, time flies. Macron said France will send 6 more Caesar truck-mounted howitzers, adding to the 12 they've already delivered. Macron said, "We will remain by your side to defend your sovereignty, your territorial integrity, and your freedom." Now, lots of talk lately about Ukraine. Lots of talk about all kind of things. Does anybody remember a little place called Afghanistan, where we left the Taliban in control of the country after 20 years of our brave men and women putting their lives on the line to protect freedom in that country and around the world, and where we also left about $80 billion of the highest military technology available. I mean, some stuff that many of our military don't even have. You don't hear about any of that in the news anymore. You don't hear about it in mainstream news. You don't hear about it on Fox News. It's like it never happened. Nobody talks about it anymore. I just find that puzzling. There's no question there, or no real point, other than I'm just sharing with you that I'm a little mystified how that has just completely fallen off the radar screen. Now, you know I'm not much of a sports guy, but I know many of you are. The Golden State Warriors beat the Boston Celtics 103-90 in Game 6 of the NBA Finals last night to win their 4th championship in 8 years. Steph Curry led the Warriors with 34 points, his 5th 30-plus game of the series, and he was named the Finals MVP. Curry made 6 three-pointers after failing to make any in the Warriors' Game 5 win, snapping a 233-game three-pointer streak. Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green also scored in double digits for the Warriors. Curry, Thompson, Green, and Andre, I can't pronounce his last name, were all on the teams that won championships in 2015, 2017, and 2018. Coach Steve Kerr said, "We have had so many great players, but Steph ultimately is why this run happens." British Home Secretary Priti Patel on Friday approved the extradition of WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange to the United States, where he faces espionage charges. Assange has 14 days to appeal. A Virginia grand jury indicted Assange over the publishing of secret military records and diplomatic cables about Afghanistan and Iraq obtained by former Army Private Chelsea Manning in 2010. Assange evaded arrest by holding up in London's Ecuadorian embassy for 7 years, but has been in a British prison since 2019. His lawyers argued he might commit suicide if subjected to harsh conditions in U.S. custody. The Home Office said in a statement that British courts have not found that extraditing Assange would be oppressive, unjust, or incompatible with his human rights. A relative of one of the 2 or 3 Americans who went missing fighting Russian forces in Ukraine said Thursday that the State Department is aware of a photo circulating on social media platform Telegram that appears to show 2 of the men in the back of a military truck with their hands tied. Earlier Thursday, State Department spokesman Ned Price said the U.S. had no confirmation from Russia that Druk and Hun were in Russian custody, and the department is aware of reports that a third American who traveled to Ukraine to fight Russians is also missing. These are men who went of their own accord to stand up for the Ukrainian people, freedom, democracy. Tip of the hat. Relatives identified the third man as Grady Karpasi, a U.S. Marine veteran. These would be the first of hundreds of American fighters in Ukraine captured by Russia. And again, these are people who were not sent. These were not U.S. military boots on the ground. These were American fighters, perhaps retired military, who chose, again, to go of their own accord to help the Ukrainians fight this war. China yesterday launched its third aircraft carrier as it continues to push to modernize its military. The new ship, named the Fujian, after the province facing Taiwan, is China's most advanced yet. It is the country's first carrier with a catapult-assisted launch system, a major upgrade from the less advanced ski jump style system used on China's first two carriers. The Liaoning and the Shandong, according to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, a Washington-based think tank, said the catapult system is like the ones on U.S. aircraft carriers, which we've had for many years. However, it will give China, which has, hear this, the biggest naval force in the world, the ability to launch aircraft faster and with more ammunition. The Fujian also has blocking devices and other modern upgrades. A federal judge on Thursday sentenced Dr. Simon Gold, a Beverly Hills physician who founded the anti-vaccine group America's Frontline Doctors, to 60 days in prison for illegally entering the Capitol during the January 6th attack. The judge also ordered Gold, whose group has spread debunked claims, supposedly, about COVID-19, to pay a $9,500 fine. The biggest yet for the nearly 200 rioters already sentenced. America's Frontline Doctors has done fundraising, claiming Gold was being persecuted for giving a speech before the riot. January 6th was about a lot of things, but it wasn't about free speech or COVID vaccinations. That's according to U.S. District Judge Christopher Cooper, who told Gold during the sentencing, "The only reason you are here is where and when and how you chose to express your views." Really? Then why have some people been arrested who weren't even there on the 6th? A London judge on Thursday granted Oscar-winning actor Kevin Spacey unconditional bail after he appeared in court to face charges of sexual offenses against 3 men. Deputy Chief Magistrate set a July 14th hearing for Spacey to enter a formal plea. Spacey's lawyer, Patrick Gibbs, said the former House of Cards star strenuously denies any and all criminality in this case. Spacey is charged with 4 counts of sexual assault and 1 count of penetrative sexual activity without consent Charges stem from alleged incidents in London between March 2005 and August, and another in Western England in 2013. Spacey's career was derailed in 2017 when actor Anthony Rapp accused him of assault decades earlier, a charge Spacey also denies. You know, obviously, I'm 100% against any type of sexual abuse, rape, whether it's heterosexual or any, whatever. 100% against it. But let me speak to anyone in the audience. If you are ever put in such a situation, okay, don't wait 20 years to ring the bell, because you lose a lot of your credibility in doing so. If you see something, report it. Now, my daughter just returned from summer camp. We're members of both Elevation and CCV here in Phoenix, and she went to the big summer camp, CCV camp, and her roommate disclosed to her the night before they were to come home, they came home last night, that she was afraid to go home. And my daughter inquired why. And she said that she was being sexually abused by her father. Her mother lives in another state. It was a custody battle. Father got custody. And apparently this has been ongoing for some time. And so my daughter talked her into going to the authorities there at the camp. Anyone associated with a church, Sunday school teachers, all of that, are considered first responders and are required by law to report such claims to the appropriate authorities. I'm so proud of my daughter for having the courage and the fortitude to stand up and convince this girl that what was happening to her was wrong, and to make it known. Now, should this man be innocent, should this be some kind of a false claim, I'm equally against that. Many innocent people have been charged with crimes that never happened. Okay? But I got a feeling that this is a true story, but now it's in the hands of the authorities where it should be. Okay? And we'll see what happens. I'm just very proud of my daughter. U.S. stocks plunged yesterday as mounting concerns about high inflation and the threat of a recession rattled Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 2.4% and closed below 30,000 for the first time since January of 2021. It is now down 18% this year. The S&P 500 fell 3.3%, is now down 23% from its record high. The tech-heavy NASDAQ dropped 4.1% on Thursday, closing 32% below its all-time high. Stocks rallied Wednesday after the Federal Reserve sharply raised interest rates to fight inflation, and U.S. stock futures rose early today. The Dow and the S&P were up earlier, but we're going to go to the charts in just a minute, so we'll see where everything sits. And our final headline, basketball superstar Sue Bird announced Thursday that she will retire from the WNBA after the 2022 season. Bird, 41, had said in February, when she re-signed with the Seattle Storm, that this would probably be her last year in the league. The five-time Olympic gold medalist reportedly came close to retiring last year before deciding to stick around for her 19th season as a player. She sat out 2 other seasons due to injuries, but Bird said she knew as she packed for a road trip that ends with a Sunday game in her home state of New York, that this would be her last time playing in New York. My last time playing in front of my family and friends. She said she is excited about playing one last time in front of the people who have watched me growing up, but it's also a little bit bittersweet. And that's the headlines fit to read. Daily chart, S&P 500 E-mini futures. We're in a downtrend, obviously. The high of this downtrend came in on March 29th. And then we got below the daily BBC, that's the green line. When price gets above it, we're bullish. We anticipate higher prices. That applies to all markets, all time frames. When price gets below the BBC, stands for bull bear cross. Bullish above it, bearish below it. When we're above it, we anticipate higher prices. When price is below that green line, we anticipate lower prices. Now, along this downtrend journey, we did at one point get back above the daily BBC, where we consolidated for 7 trading sessions before we finally slipped and fell. And then there's that Sunday night gap open that still hasn't closed. As I mentioned earlier, very unusual. We put in a new low yesterday at 36.42. Today, Friday's low, 36.39. So we put it a little bit lower low on today's session. Again, the Thursday low, 36.42. The Friday low, 36.39. Now, are we carving out a bottom here? Well, it's certainly way too soon to tell. We got a red doji on the day, which shows indecision. If buyers were to reach into their deep pockets, and I'm talking the institutional traders, the Goldman Sachs of the world, the obstacles they have to overcome to turn this market around would first be today's high, the daily step line, red and falling, the daily BBC, and then we hit the 38% reverse fib, which lines right up with this bearish cross, which, when there's a bearish cross that leads to an extended move, the first time price revisits that area, it's almost always good resistance. Same is true of a bullish cross. And then we get up to the 50% reverse fib, which, as you can see, the yellow line runs right through the middle of those 7 days of consolidation where the market just tried to hang on and finally couldn't. And above that, we've got this trend line, we got the 62% reverse fib. So buyers have a lot of work cut out for them. And it's not like they have a healthy economy and low inflation and low interest rates to support their efforts to push the markets higher. In fact, they have exactly the opposite of everything I just said. So it's a tough battle, but one thing we know about the indices, over time, they always go higher. It's how they were constructed. The S&P 500 is 500 large cap companies. When a company misses its earnings a couple times or shows some other signs of being unhealthy or some kind of fraud going on, then they are removed from the S&P 500 and they are replaced with a healthy young bull. So I have no doubt in the coming months that we're going to see a rearranging of the deck chairs, hopefully not the deck chairs on the Titanic, but we're going to see some companies taken out of the S&P 500 based on their individual performance and replaced with some stronger companies. Now, we had the 2000.com. Well, let's go back further than that. We had Black Monday. Market recovered. We had the 2000.com bubble. Market crashed, but recovered. And then we had the 2007, 2008 mortgage-backed securities crash. The market recovered. So there'll always be sell-offs, there'll always be downtrends, there'll always be moments where it looks like it's the end of the world, the sky is falling. There's blood in the streets. But just remember, over time, now individual stocks can go to zero, but the indices, no, because of the way they were designed. The Dow's 30 blue chip companies. One of those gets sick, they're going to get replaced with somebody healthier. The NQ, there's 100 companies there, the NQ 100. The Russell 2000, it's 2,000 small cap companies. Okay, but the same thing goes. Companies no longer meet the standard. They're asked to depart the building, and a fresh, strong company is brought in to replace them, which is why you will have to weather stuff like this, and this could get a whole lot worse. 3 months from now, we could look at this and think, man, that was nothing. Okay? Only time will tell. Now, there's all kinds of people out there with all kinds of predictions, and they want to sell you all kinds of shiny objects to help you navigate this mess. The best thing you can do is simply learn how to read a chart. Learn how to understand how price flows. Because price flows the same in every market, in every time frame. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. Our strategy and methodology does not try to outfox, outthink, outrun, outdistance, or beat the market. Our strategy is designed to show you what the market is doing at any moment in time. And our goal is simply to jump on the coattails of the market and ride those coattails long enough to reach our goal for the day. And then put the mouse away. And whatever the market does the rest of the day, we don't cry over what we left on the table. We follow our business plan, we follow our trading plan, and that's it. Okay? If you're looking for a holy grail, if you're looking for something that's going, some indicator, some oscillator, some algorithm that's going to predict the future, forget about it. That defies the laws of science, physics, even God. Okay? For any kind of indicator to give you that kind of a prediction, that indicator or oscillator would have to go out and read the mind of every institutional trader, of which there are many, and it's the institutional money that moves the markets. Okay? You would have to survey all of those traders' minds, bring back that data, crunch that data, and then make a prediction based off of that, and then send it to you. And by that time, half the people, half the institutional traders have now changed their mind and decided to do something different. It simply can't exist. What can exist is you can learn how to read how price flows. You can learn how to read our indicators, which are not a holy grail of by any stretch, but they show you with clarity what the next high probability move is. Now, over the last 202 weeks, I think I said it was, and over 10,900 individual Logic 247 alerts, we know, we have the data to back it up, that on average, 20% of all alerts do get stopped out. Now this week, we've got some low number, 8%, 12%. The average over the last 202 weeks has been 20%. And why is that? Well, number one, because there's no holy grail. And number two, order flow can shift in the middle of a trade. If you get into a long trade, it's because there's more buying pressure than selling pressure. If you get into a short trade, it's because there's more selling pressure than buying pressure. But while you're in that trade, that order flow can flip, and that means you get stopped out, as long as you're using a physical hard stop. And if you're not, you might as well just hang up your mouse now, because you're just going to blow up account after account after account after account. Okay? So make a decision. Are you serious? Do you really want to learn how to trade? The professional traders, consistently profitable traders, the hedge fund managers, they waste no time or treasure trying to find a way to not get stopped out. They innately understand getting stopped out is as much a part of trading as breathing is a part of life. And when they get stopped out, they don't even blink an eye. They just go look for the next high probability, low risk opportunity. Just like you see Michael and Valerie do every single day in the live training room. Okay, our little candle here is actually showing some green. I've already pointed out all the obstacles on the way up. So we'll see how we close today, how we open Sunday night, and go from there. That's all we can do. And in the meantime, we'll trade what's in front of us. Now, here's the S&P 30-minute chart, where we did not have a trigger. Now, I gave you a chance to take a screenshot of last night's CTAs. 37.47 was the long trigger, never triggered. Price came right down to the short trigger at 36.38 and got rejected. Here's where we opened. We came down to blue and climbing, pushed up to the BBC. We expect blue and climbing to be support. When we approach the BVC from below, we expect resistance. Last night during the workshop, I said, guys, you see how price is getting pinched between blue and climbing and the BVC? One representing resistance, the other support. Eventually the market will have to make up its mind, because it's only going to go sideways for so long, and it did make a break to the upside. Okay, and I pointed out these areas here where all of our traders should look for resistance if we made a move to the upside. And if you look at the horizontal line on the cursor, you can see it. Okay? And then we came down to the trigger but got rejected, went back to the BBC, found resistance, came back down to the step line, and red and falling. When red and falling gets directly below price, as it did on this candle, it can often become support, which it did. And it's now pushed price back above the BVC. That tells you that what was blue and climbing and turned to red and falling. If we print another green candle after this, then our red and sideways is going to turn to blue and climbing. Okay? But as you can see, this is compared to what we've seen of late. I mean, that's just a part of yesterday. Now look at today. if all you trade's the S&P, maybe you should just go fishing. Okay? Come back Sunday night. We'll take another run at it. Here's the Dow. Let's open it up a little bit. Okay. So market opened here. Got above the BBC. We made a run up to the area that I showed everyone last night in the workshop where they should expect resistance. Then if we got through this resistance, then here. If you missed the workshop last night, it was a very good one. If you're a member, you have access to the workshop channel. Over the weekend, I suggest you take some time to watch the workshop last night. Ran about an hour and a half. Okay, price pulls back to the BBC. The pullback holds more often than not. Made another run right up into that area where we would expect resistance. And eventually, we got back below the BBC. We came down, and at 29,850, we triggered down to 29,821. So that's 29 points at $5 a point. Almost $150 per contract traded. Once an alert triggers, there's a greater probability of it triggering multiple times than not triggering multiple times. Now this vertical line you see on the chart, that separates today Friday from yesterday Thursday. This was the closing candle yesterday afternoon. Remember, the markets close at 5 p.m. Eastern. And then this was the opening candle last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. Okay. So after we get the trigger on the short CTA, price pulls back up to the BBC, which we expect to be good resistance. Plus we had red and falling. We expect that to be good resistance. So that sent price back down for another trigger. And it took us down to 29,639. So let's call it 29,640. That's 210 points. 200 points at $5 a point would be $1,000 per contract traded. And then we got back above the trigger, and we dropped again. Now this candle closed here, opened here, and so this trigger took us down to 755. It's basically 100 points, $5 a point per contract traded. Then we got back above the trigger, but right here on this trigger, you've got red and falling directly below price. And as I just explained, when that happens, it's a good chance that's going to become support. And look what's happened. It's pushed us all the way up through the BBC. Now there's still 16 minutes left in the life of this 30-minute candle. So the question is not as much where are we now, but where will we be in 16 minutes when this candle closes? Will we close above the BBC or below the BBC? Because that will determine the direction we're going to trade in. Okay? All right. Go to the Russell. On the Russell, we ran right up to the long CTA and got rejected. And we've just really consolidated right along this weekly trading zone, 1668, and that is the lowest weekly trading zone for this week on the Russell, 1668/69. We're above the BBC. We don't have blue and climbing yet. There is a potential for the markets to rally here, and if they can take out that high and that high, then if we trigger the long CTA, watch for resistance here, here, and here. Okay? Trading's not easy, but it can be simple. But when it's flat like this, it's best left alone. And that's We can give you the knowledge you need to trade. We can provide you with the tools you need to trade. What we can't give you, sell you, rent you, loan you, is patience and self-discipline. You have to master that. Now we have some tools to help you master that, okay? And as you become a passport holder, we'll work with you on those issues. But again, ultimately, that's got to come from inside of you. Solving that type of a problem, the first step is just like the 12-step program. Recognizing you have a problem is the first step. And then all the other steps are to help you with that problem, whatever it is. Whether it's drinking or eating too much or whatever. Okay? Alright. So no trigger on the long side yet, no trigger on the short side. Let's go to the NQ. The NQ, obviously no trigger on the short side. At 11,381. Took us up to 11,396. That's $300 per contract traded. Crude, we have rolled to the Q contract. We had some two-sided action. The long CTA was 115.85. This is where the market opened. Came down to the BBC, the pullback held. Holds more often than not. Then our first trigger at 115.85, the market ran up to 116.13. So that's $280 per contract traded. We got back below the trigger and ran to the target. Remember, on every alert, the final trade to target on a long is the zone above, on a short it's the zone below. So from 115.85 to 116.30, that would be $450 per contract traded. Then price got below the BBC, blue and climbing, rolled over, turned to red and falling. And then we came down. 112.90 was the trigger. We dropped to, it's about $70 right there per contract traded. Then we got back above the trigger, and this time we dropped all the way to the target. Now we've gone beyond that, but we don't cry about anything that was left on the table, okay? We plan the trade, and we trade the plan, okay? Now, from 112.90 to 111.20, that would be $1,700 per contract traded over the course of an hour, and then more, okay? That is the lowest weekly trading zone for the week on crude. So it looks like we will finish the week. Now these zones were created for the N contract. We roll to the Q contract midweek, but when that happens, we don't change the zones, because as you can see, last night, where did price find resistance? Right at the zone. And so, and yesterday, where did price find support? Right at the zone. We've just seen heavy selling pressure, and we will probably close the week on crude below the lowest weekly trading zone. Now, anything can happen. Buyers could see this as a great opportunity, as a great price. They could come in. By the close today, they could drive us back above the lowest zone. But I'm not going to hang my hat on it. Gold. Long CTA was 1864. No trigger there. The short trigger was 1841. And we dropped to 1838.8. So $210 per contract traded. Then we got rejected, we got rejected, we got rejected, we got rejected, we got rejected. If price should come back down through the trigger and take out this low, keep an eye on this bullish cross, 1833/34, because the first time down, there's a very high probability that this area will act as good support. And then once the market bounces and comes back down again a second or third time, it can break that area. Your next area for support would be this low. And then this is the lowest week. Nope, that's not the lowest weekly trading zone for gold. The lowest weekly trading zone for gold this week is way down at 1734/35. Okay, silver. No trigger on the long side. Here's where we opened. We got below the VVC, we got above, never made it to the trigger. Blue and climbing, turned to red and falling. Took us down below the zone. The trigger was at 2169, and from 2169 we dropped to 2156. So 200. No. Here, I'll just break down and use my calculator. 69 minus 56. That's 13 pennies. 2 pennies is $100, so $650 per contract traded. Last night, I drew this in during the workshop. I said if price drops to this area of the bullish cross that led to the extended move, when price revisits that area, you should expect that area to potentially be good support. And that's how it looks when it happens. Now we tried once and twice and 3 times and 4 and 5 and 6. This is our 7th 30-minute candle. If we take out this low right here, and we got a decent window of opportunity down to this low right here, and possibly all the way to the zone. And if there's momentum to the move, we could drop below that zone. And that there's still 2 more weekly trading zones below 2146. And on the euro, no trigger on the long side. A little bit of a trigger here from 655. We dropped to 595. That's not quite $100 per contract traded. Over here, 1.05800. When price drops to 1.05700, 100 tick drop, okay, that's worth $125 per contract traded. And then it drops, goes from 800 to 700 to 600 to 500. Each one of those is worth $125 per contract traded. So then we come and we drop and we go to 420. So that gives us, you know, probably $400. You can calculate it. I just told you how. And we get back above the trigger. Red and falling, acts as resistance. We expect it to until proven otherwise. And this time we dropped all the way to the target, which was the zone below, from 655 down to 340. 655 minus 340. So that's about, it's a little over $375 per contract traded. And that brings us back to the daily chart. Oh, I see a question in the question box I didn't see. Oh, thank you so much, Lori. I really appreciate that. You're such a sweetheart. Thank you. And I don't mean that in any kind of sexist way. I'm country. I grew up in Georgia. Sweetheart and darling kind of just roll off my tongue sometimes. I try to be conscious. We're in such a, but I know you and I know you're not easily offended, so. But anyway. Thank you very much for your comment. Okay. Got a little green body here. The question, the title of today's broadcast, is the S&P E-mini carving out a bottom? I certainly don't want to get ahead of myself. So we'll watch, we'll see how and where we close today. If we closed on the high of the session, that would be bullish. And then how we open and trade Sunday night. A reminder to everyone who's been on the trial, okay, you need to get your passport so that you can be with us Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern when the Globex markets open. That's when the alert channel opens. You'll have access to the discussion group, and you'll have access to the live training room every day. Now the passport never expires. It's everything a trader needs, all under one roof, at one low price. It's an all-access pass to everything we do, everything we've ever done, and everything we do in the future. Now, when we rolled out our indicators on TradingView, as Michael was showing you earlier, the current passport holders, how much additional do they have to pay for that? Absolutely nothing. The passport never expires. It covers everything we do, everything we've ever done, and anything we do in the future. Okay? Now, along with the interactive training environment, 2 hours every trading day, where you're encouraged to ask questions. The more questions you ask, the sooner you're going to learn the strategy. 9 out of 10 traders fail because they don't have a teacher. Imagine trying to learn any career without having a teacher. Pretty difficult. Okay? So you have a live teacher every day explaining every move they make, every trade they take, and the rule behind it, plus answering your questions as you trade along in the simulator until you qualify to go live. Okay? You're either going to be the 9 out of 10 or the 1 out of 10. I wish I could tell you the passport would make you, guarantee you to be the 1 out of 10, but that's not possible. No matter how much information we give you, no matter how many tools we provide you, we don't know what you're going to do with that information and those tools. We don't know if you have the patience and the self-discipline required to be a trader. So along with the live training room, you have access to unlimited one-on-one mentoring. The methodology we teach you and the indicators we provide you work not only with futures, but stocks, crypto, forex, options, because price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. Why doesn't everybody just tell you that? Because then they couldn't keep selling you new shiny objects every other day. We have nothing else. There are no upsells with the passport. There are no gotchas. There's no recurring fees. As a passport holder, you'll also get the Logic 247 alerts around the clock. You'll get the concierge trade alerts each evening as they're posted. You'll have access to the Thursday night members-only workshops. All that and much more. Plus, you'll have access, and this is really important, to the Telegram discussion groups. Okay? This is where our traders who've walked the same path you're walking, learning how to trade, they share their thoughts, their charts, their trades, their ideas. We have a channel called Breeze where we just shoot the breeze about things other than trading. And then we have the members only discussion group, and we have the trial discussion group. So even when you're on the trial, you're able to participate in the discussion and ask questions. There's a channel for the workshops, there's a channel for the CTAs, there's a channel for the weekly trading zone. We got a channel for everything. Okay? And as a passport holder, you have access to every channel. Everything I mentioned, and even more. All right, let's wrap this week up with our good word for the day. Today, we'll talk about find my notes. We're going to start a series. It's maybe not a happy thought, but it's something we're all going to face. Job 14:14 asks a question. If someone dies, will they live again? After AD 616, the first Christian missionaries came to the court of King Edwin in Northumbria, England. In his great hall, ablaze with the light of numerous torches, they presented the gospel. The king listened, then consulted his advisors. One nobleman said, "Life is like a banquet hall. Inside is light, fire, warmth, and feasting, but outside it is cold and dark. A sparrow flies in through a window at one end and out through a window at the other end. That is what life is like. At birth, we emerge from the unknown, and for a brief while we are here with a fair amount of comfort and happiness. But then we fly out into the cold, dark, unknown future. Can this new religion lighten the darkness for us? We who believe in the resurrection of Jesus Christ can answer yes. A faulty heartbeat, a malignant cell, or a tragic accident can end life as we know it. As can a phone call, as can a knock at the door. But that's not the end. And unless you believe that, here is what you're left with. If Christ has not been raised, then your faith is a delusion and you are still lost in your sins. Believers in Christ who have died are lost. If our hope in Christ is good for this life only and no more, then we deserve more pity than anyone else in all the world. But the truth is that Christ has been raised from the dead, as the guarantee that those who sleep in death will also be raised. Read and meditate on that for yourself. 1 Corinthians 15, 17 through 20. For the believer, the end of life on earth is the beginning of a glorious life with Christ in heaven. And that's a good word for the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.